So thank you very much for inviting me to give a lecture. And I was really hesitant when Palvi wrote to me because of the daytime, nighttime. Right now in India, everybody must be preparing to go to bed. Whereas I got up, I usually get up at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Today I got up at 8 o'clock. And so I was hesitant. But at the same time, I thought, what should I discuss? And then one of the uh, idea came to my mind that I should discuss about the sources and dynamics of air pollution over India in a changing climate. I was at Kanpur for 23 years. Okay. When I was at Kanpur, 23 years, I was going to city. I was not able to see even 5 meters during winter time. Okay. Although I'm a solid earth geophysicist, and I was going about 200 kilometer below the earth, and then I started thinking about the surface and the atmosphere. I was very much upset why people are not taking this problem of pollution and they should see what is happening right now. Okay. And then I chose this problem of the atmospheric pollution. So right now, everybody is talking about the changing climate. Do we believe that the climate is changing? So that is a big question. But now, of course, I was born in eastern UP, Uttar Pradesh, and I always go to my village and see that things have changed completely. Earlier, we used to sleep outside in the field and no mosquitoes. But now things have changed, you see. And then you go and see left and right, you see different lands features, you see. And also, so many things are happening. And what we observe, the extreme events, rainfall, heat, floods, drought, forest fire, melting of snow glaciers, and landslides, which is affecting day-to-day life. Okay. So everybody is experiencing, and all these events force us to believe that the climate is changing. Okay. So there is no doubt if you ask anybody, and they will say, "Oh, this is because of the climate change." Okay, so we have to believe that the climate change. Okay, so first time in the U.S., I went to Brazil, and I was coming from Brazil. I was stopped at Atlanta. Okay, and then the guy who was sitting in the immigration, he started asking me, from where you are coming? I said, Brazil. What do you do? I said, I do environmental science. Okay. And then he asked me, do you believe in climate change? And I say, yes, I believe in climate change. And this guy, hefty guy, he stood up, okay, and he started calling his colleague from the other table. And then he said, oh, this guy believes in climate change. Okay. And I was become very nervous. Okay. I said, yes, I believe in climate change. You come to my lab. Okay. I will show you that the temperature is changing, air temperature is changing, rainfall is changing. So we have to believe that one. Okay. And My interview was published in EOS, American Geophysical Union magazine, along with the other people. So whether it's, if you observe this, since last 30, 40 years, we believe that there is a climate change. And as a result, things are changing. Okay. So I was born in a village in the eastern UP. I studied from Benares Hindu University, and I worked with the IIT Kanpur, 86 to 2007, and then I moved to George Mason University from 2003 to 2005. And these people asked me to stay, but I did not stay. I went back, okay. And then the 23 years I got offer from as a full professor tenure. Then I decided to join George Mason University. From George Mason University, I came to California, Orange County, okay. Weather-wise, this is really very nice, okay. So since 2009, since the last 15 years I'm working here. Okay. So I'm very happy. Okay. And but physically I'm here. Mentally I'm in India. And I try to see different kinds of problems in India, and I try to jump and do some work in India. Okay. So you can see this is the Delhi, Kanpur, where is my village. My village is 40 kilometers from Varanasi. Okay. So the number of times I drive there and I visit my village and I see how the land cover is changing. This is the IIT Kanpur. Okay, you can see in 2000, early 2000, I started looking after the lot of fog, smoke, pollution. You can see IIT Kanpur campus, the library, foggy winter days. Okay, and it was very, very difficult to drive in the night. Okay. And then I decided that I should jump this and I should try to see if I can contribute in understanding this. Okay. So you can see here, and at the same time, this was it. Delhi, okay, and so Kanpur, at the same time, when the pollution is increasing, pollution is affecting the people exposed to. Okay, and at one time in 2005, I had organized this brainstorming workshop on IIT Kanpur campus, and the Ministry of Earth Sciences Secretary Dr. P.S. Goel, who came, he spent 2 days with me. I invited some doctors from Kanpur, some were from the south of India, okay, and in the northern part of India, there is a lot of health impacts, and people every day you listen that some people have gone, okay, at a young age. Okay, so why is this? This is also because of the pollution. And the pollution level, you can see India and China, where one-third of the population live uh, in these two countries. Okay. And they both, India and China, were known to be highly polluted. Okay. And Kanpur is located center of the Indo-Gangetic Plain. Okay. So I experienced this one. You can see when the pollution is there, you always relate with the population and how population over the Indo-Gangetic basin where has increased. Right now, the pollution in population in the Indo-Gangetic Plain is 900 million people. Okay, and 900 million people, and when the population is increasing now in the liberal economy, the people they are driving, okay, on a IIT Kanpur campus. When I joined in 1986, only 10 people were having cars, and then now more than the faculty members, there are say cars in on the campus, because husband has a car, wife has a car, one car for the children. So the car vehicle pollution has increased so much. In order to understand the pollution level and the dynamics of pollution, you must see what is happening in the northern part of India. The Indo-Gangetic Basin is a valley. Okay, when it is valley, all the pollutants stuck in the basin. Not only stuck, they dance over the Indo-Gangetic basin, because in the northern part of India, you have a towering Himalaya. Okay, the towering Himalaya. So in a 1986, no, 1990, I I'm a now remote sensing guy, satellite guy, and then I saw this image. This image is a polder image. You can see over the Indo-Gangetic Basin, the pollution level is very, very high. Okay, and this was from the polder image, and the polder was a satellite which was a joint mission of French and Japanese. Okay, so you can see the first time I saw this. When I saw this, okay, I attended a meeting in France. Okay, and then I started thinking about the pollution level in the northern part of India. So I one time, one press reporter asked me, and then he came to the question that India is polluting Pakistan. Okay. I said, okay, you gave me 24 hours, okay. And in 24 hours, what I did, I asked one of my students, Dr. Prasad, now, to plot the wind field. And then you can see the wind field over the Indo-Gangetic Plain is the westerly wind, dominant westerly wind, which brings the air mass from west to east over IGP. At that time, Hindustan Times brought out a story, okay, and that no, Indian pollutants do not affect the Pakistan, and whereas Pakistani pollutants they affect the Indian pollution. And in India, the sources do not affect the pollution of any country except Bangladesh. It goes up to Bangladesh, it goes beyond that in a eastern part of India. So that was my finding, okay. And then I said, okay, let me start working on this. Okay. Of course, the pollution level also affects the coastal water. You can see here 2002, when the Modi's Terra and Aqua came, you can see anybody can take out the snapshots, and this is what I saw, that the smoke, fog, uh, always dance over the Indo-Gangetic Plain, depending upon the meteorological condition, depending upon the meteorological condition. Okay. And then at the same time, I took a profile from the north-south and east-west. And you can see during summertime, during winter time, the pollution over the Indo-Gangetic plain is very, very high. Okay, so this is what I saw, and then later on, we extended the our analysis for other months, other years. So when I had organized a brainstorming workshop, okay, and then we saw the RSPM over Delhi, Kanpur, Chennai, and Kolkata. You can see Delhi, Kanpur, the RSPM is very, very high. Even Calcutta is less, okay, depending upon the weather condition. But Chennai is the lowest. So what I try to show that the pollution level in the northern part of India is very high compared to southern. And the most of the work on the aerosols was being done in the southern part of India. And this is why I jumped that we should do something. In, in the northern part of India, we have a famous National Physical Laboratory. Okay, at that time, Professor Mitra was there, but after Mitra, nobody took leadership. Okay, uh, so we started working at a Kanpur. Okay, when we started working at a Kanpur, you can see Kanpur campus. The Kanpur campus is surrounded by brick kilns and then punky power plants. You can see the punky power plants. It gives you the plume of the coming from the coal-based thermal power plants. Okay, and this is the IIT Kanpur campus. Okay, and then you can see we did analysis of the Moody's and Miser. You can see over the Indo-Gangetic basin how the pollution level is seen, observed. Okay, and then at that time, I started approaching NASA that we should do something, and why not I should get aeronet stations so that I can deploy aeronet station on IIT Kanpur campus. So it was a 2001 January, okay, with a lot of difficulties because the NASA one time rejected my request, and the second time, when Bill Clinton came to India and he moved to Jaipur and other places, at that time I had a chance to work at the UNEP in Sioux Falls in US. And then I approached Brent Holborn that now could you check maybe things have changed. And of course, things were changed. And Brent Holbert, he told me that NASA has cleared this project, okay? And then immediately I talked to my director, we signed MOU, and we deployed this aeronaut station on the roof of my building. One can see this, okay? So we started working with the Aeronet data, okay? And as some of my students, you can see Sagnik Dave, who is in Delhi, okay? And some other students who are in Germany, okay? We started working utilizing Aeronet data, and so let me say that what we are talking about, the pollution, there are natural sources, there are anthropogenic sources. Okay, both affects the air quality and the atmospheric pollution. Okay, this is what you can see. So atmospheric pollution, what are the sources of atmospheric pollution? You always relate with the growing population. urbanization, anthropogenic activities, land use, land cover change, growing industry and energy demand, vehicular pollution, dust storms, mining activities, brick kilns. In India, in the northern part of India, everywhere you drive, you can see encounter brick kilns. Biomass burning, forest fire, and aviation has increased number of everybody is flying, okay, with it. There are so many carriers are there, but we are lucky that we do not have any volcanic activities. Okay, so you can see Kanpur, okay, vehicles at that time. There were so many vehicles and a black carbon one can see in the atmosphere. Okay, and you can see the contrails everywhere. Okay, and then when you go to Ganges in Benares, Bitur, you can see the diesel, the boats, which also pollutes, okay, the atmosphere pollutes the water. Okay, so one has to think. So when we are talking about the atmospheric pollution, it really impacts the climate. And this is what we are talking about the climate change because of the pollution. Okay, so the pollution starts when babies are born. Okay, because a lot of garbage they do, a lot of diaper, we burn the diapers. At the same time, when we die, also we generate the pollution. You can see if you have visited Benares, okay, these are the Madikadka Ghat and the other Harishchandra Ghat. Always you can see dead bodies and people they burn. They the atmosphere gets affected. Water also gets affected. Okay, so you might be knowing James Hansen. One time we were together, and what he said, adding CO2 from the pollution is in the air, throwing another blanket on the bed. Okay, so another blanket on the bed, then it becomes a very, very difficult to sleep. Okay, so you can see the pollution level, the people they do not discuss about in the East Asia, the Western Europe, Eastern Europe, okay, Northern America, because the population is stable or declining. But in the south of India, in China and India, both were competing each other. And now we feel proud being Indian. Okay, we feel proud that we have competed with China. Is this something a great thing? I don't think so. Okay. And I'm very happy that at least Uttar Pradesh, the chief minister, Yogi is thinking, okay, and he is trying to check the population in Uttar Pradesh. So if we are thinking about the pollution, the first thing what we should do, that we should stop the increasing pollution. Okay. So apart from the pollution, you can see the energy demand. Okay. And I'm trying to show you a place near Benares, about 200 kilometers, okay, is Singrauli. As Singrauli, you can see there are so many coal-based power plants, 8 coal-based power plants. And you can see sometimes I'm very, very surprised how people, they live in Singrauli. Okay. So you can see here the power plants and also brick kilns. And here I'm trying to show you the coal-based power plants in special distribution. And then the bar gives you about the power of the power plants, you see. And even the one time I took my portable accelerometer, I tried to measure there from Benares to Singrauli. You can see when I reached Anpara, and the black carbon started giving me peak. This is what I'm trying to show you. Okay, so if you see here the power plants, there are so many power plants. Okay, at that time in 2000, earlier I published a paper in GRN. Okay, and I come in the press and I said the power plants are the main culprit of the pollution in the Indo-Gangetic Basin. And you can see the power plants, okay, it does affect up to 10 kilometer, okay. And this is what I'm trying to show you, okay. And in Kanpur, okay, whenever you see that depending upon the wind, the plume coming from the punky, it goes over the city and other places. And sometimes the earlier uh, the pollution board they were having website. They were removing this higher PM 2.5. Okay, so you cannot see that the Kanpur is highly polluted at that time. Okay, but I noticed this one. Okay, from in Singrauli also, apart from the power plants does get coal for burning, and there is a coal mining. Okay, so coal mining is there in the Singrauli areas, and people they get free coal and they use for cooking. This is what I'm trying to show you. They're highly polluted Singrauli, and recently I was told that people they are trying to build tourism. Okay, they are putting some other things, and I do not know whether they have a thought of a pollution. Okay, so we have to. I'm very much concerned about the pollution. Okay, so here is the Kanpur city. So whenever the punky power plants, you can see the plume, it blankets the Kanpur city, okay? And at that time, we did the modeling, okay? And what we found that even the pollution level it becomes very high due to punky power plants, okay? So at that time, I tried to show that. So what are the adverse impact of pollution? Increasing atmospheric aerosol, health. Everybody is concerned about the health. Weather conditions. It affects the monsoon. It affects the snow glaciers and the visibility, ocean ecology, agricultural productivity, and acid rain. Okay, so influence of climate change is um, giving you frequency of increasing natural hazards. Okay, everybody is observing this in the Himalayan region. Okay, and number of uh, events, deadly events we have encountered. So what is happening? Changing concentration of the atmospheric constituents, changing. Nitrogen and oxygen make up the most of the atmosphere. And the CO2 is increasing, water vapor is increasing, clouds is forming, and it brings the rainfall. Okay, and then the other trace gases, ozone, NOx, SOx, methane is increasing. So it causes the changing concentration in the atmosphere. Such changes are the cause of the climate change due to the residence time of different type of concentration. Okay, I do not want to explain this, and one can see this. Okay, so you can see this when there is a primary gases, and then it transforms into secondary gases. Then you get a new particle formation and condensation of existing particles, and it goes in the atmosphere, and it comes back. Okay, this is what people are studying this. Okay, so one of the causes for the pollution in the northern part of India is the dust storms. And the dust storms, you can see during pre-monsoon period, okay, we encounter the dust storm. One time before coming to George Mason University, I was driving from Benares to Kanpur, and I encountered the dust storms. And then immediately I started looking the dust storms, its impact. We did the characteristic of the dust storms. At that time, the Sagnik Day was working with me, okay? And we published a paper in JGR. And apart from the dust, from the where the dust is coming, dust is coming from the local Thar Desert, run of Kutch, and also the dust is coming from the long-range transport of the dust from the Arabia Peninsula. Okay, and the dust hits um, the western part of India, Jaipur, and it moves to Delhi, it moves to Kanpur, Lucknow, and sometimes, depending upon the meteorological condition, it goes to Bangladesh, it goes to Assam. Okay, so now I'm very, very happy that there are aeronet stations in Bangladesh and Dibrugarh, Delhi, and Jaipur. People are trying to study the aerosol characteristics from the aeronet data. Okay, so you can see the sources of the dust, Thar Desert and runoff Kutch. It affects uh, the Indo-Gangetic Plain. Okay, so these are the two important. And dust not only it goes in the Indo-Gangetic Plain, but it also reaches to the Manora Peak in Nainital. You can see Nainital. Okay, we try to analyze the dust, and we publish a JGR paper. Okay, and you can see the change in the meteorological conditions. Okay, and not only the Manora Peak, they even reached to the Himalayan region. One time I spent my sabbatical at IIT Monday. The dust is coming from the long-range transport from the Arabia. It crosses the Arabian Sea, entered in the Indo-Gangetic, Gujarat coast. Okay, and then it goes beyond that. Okay, in the western part of the Himalaya, and also in the Indo-Gangetic. When it goes over the Arabian Sea, it affects the Arabian Sea productivity. And this is what we try to show at that time. Enhancement of the oceanic parameter associated with the dust storm using satellite data. Okay, so we saw that the Arabian Sea water, coastal water gets affected. And here I'm trying to show that how the dust goes in the Himalaya region, and as a result, there is a Himalayan region, the snow glaciers blanketed by the dust, As a result, there is a melting of the snow glacier in the Himalayan region. Okay, and this is what on the left side you can see the dust. This note we published in EOS, and later on we published in some other journals. Okay, so I in Kanpur I also deployed some GPS, and we analyzed the GPS water vapor. Okay, and you can see from the GPS water vapor Kanpur, we validated this one, and whenever the dust is there, okay, and the dust really influence the GPS water vapor. Okay, and what are the other sources of the pollution? And the northern part of India is affected by the cyclone in the Bay of Bengal, and then now Arabian Sea is also very active for the cyclone. Okay, as this cyclone uh, affects the Indo-Gangetic Basin. Okay, because of the very high wind. Because of the high wind, and sometimes there is the crop burning in Punjab, and there is a strong mixing of the dust and the smoke. Okay, and then it goes beyond the eastern part of India. And now in the eastern part of India, Dibrugarh, we have aeronaut station. We try to analyze this. We try to show that the dust and the smoke coming from Punjab, there is a strong mixing. Okay, so you can see here the Amphan cyclone affected the northern, the eastern part of India, and it affected the outflow of the gas in Assam. Okay, and this gas, where the outbreak happened, and this continued for 6 months. Okay, 6 months. Right now we are working on this. Okay, using INSAR data, and also we try to analyze some of other trace gases from the blowout. Okay, so one of the sources in the northern part of India is also the cyclone in the Bay of Bengal, and also the Arabian Sea. Okay, so what is happening in the western part of India? Okay, the long range transport. Okay, and this guy, Ritesh Gautam, he analyzed this one 30 years data, okay, and he found uh, atmospheric warming up of the western part of India, and he also showed this all the pollutants also reaches to the Himalayan region. Okay, so I got another uh, another image by Santander, who is at IIT Mandi. Okay, and he showed it in a atmospheric physics and chemistry journal. Okay, whatever you do in the Indo-Gangetic Plain, it does affect the Himalayan region. Okay, so you can see the BC emission. There is the outflow from the Indo-Gangetic Basin. It affects the Himalayan region. Okay, so we try to analyze uh, so many um, so many papers on the dust. Okay, we did talk in a different uh, journals using the aeronaut data, using ground data. Okay, and one of the biggest source in the northern part of India during October, November. Now this is September is gone. October is we are approaching, and there will be farmers from Punjab. They are going to burn the crop residue. Okay, although the government has banned this. Okay, but I come from village, and I have seen how we were doing our agriculture in the village. You see, with the buffalo. Okay, but now in 1986 people started doing this everything, okay, mechanized way. Okay, when they do in the mechanized way, you have a crop remains in the farm, and then easiest way, economic way, that you burn this. Okay, because you burn, you ready the field for the second crop, that is the rice you burn, then you prepare for the wheat crop. Okay, and this is happening since 1986. And 1986, when the Punjab farmer burned in Punjab, and then the extreme plume is blanket Delhi and beyond. Okay, and Delhi, our former chief minister Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal, he started jumping up and down. Okay, because the pollution level is so high, you uh, you can see the thick fog, haze, and other things. Okay, but this guy, he did a lot of experiments with the odd and even, but nobody tells him that, hey, our geographical situation is different. You have a towering Himalaya. When you have a towering Himalaya, all the plume is from Punjab is going over the valleys. It reaches over Bangladesh and beyond that one, depending upon the wind conditions. Okay. So a number of times I participated in the debate. I brought out this one in the news. Okay, so now the government has a ban. Of course, they have banned since long time, and the farmers are also very clever, and they do not burn during daytime. They burn in the nighttime. You see, so these are the problems, and you can see the plume. Plume is coming right from Punjab. It goes in the valleys, okay, and not only in the Indo-Gangetic Basin. The farmers from Pakistan, Lahore, also burn this, and it affects the pollution level in Pakistan also. Okay, so at that time, we tried to analyze the data from the aeronet station, from the satellite data. Okay, and in 2018, we published a paper in JGR. At that time, we did talk only about the pollution level, that the Punjab crop residue burning is affecting the Indo-Gangetic Basin. But later on, in 2021-22, we analyzed the data, okay, and what we found, not only it affects the Indo-Gangetic Plain, but it affects the central part of India. Okay, and this is what you can see, that the pollution from the crop residue burning is affecting the central part of India. So now what I did, I collaborated with the Central University Ajmer. I put some of the instruments, and we are trying to measure the PM 2.5, and also PM 2.5, PM 10. I put my microtops over there. We are trying to measure the aerosol's optical depth uh, since last 2 years. Okay, so it is very evident that the Punjab pollution also affects the western part of India. Okay, and another problem is when the crop residue burning is there, sometimes the dust is also coming from the long range transport of dust, some local dust, and there is a mixing of the dust and then with the crop residue burning. Okay. And as a result, the atmospheric chemistry is going to completely change. Okay, completely change. So another problem is everybody knows all the Indians, Diwali festival, light festival is coming. Okay, and now I'm very happy that at least the government has banned fireworks in Delhi, and we used to put a diya, okay, and you can see what happens when we burn not the candle, but with the oil, okay, the black carbon concentration increase. This is the we measured in Noida, okay, one time, okay. So you can see that Delhi Diwali festival is also affects the PM 2.5, and slowly you can see that people start playing with the fireworks, and then PM 2.5 is going to increase. Not only 2.5, 10, it goes up to 1,000. Okay, very soon you can see this. Okay. So apart from that, we have this waste uh, dumping in Delhi, Gajipur. Okay, we try to burn this. And these are the also sources of the pollution. These are the sources for the methane emission. Okay, and as the one should try to monitor, one should ban this one. Okay, so these are the very very severe problem of the pollution level. But I'm happy that now Environmental Defense Fund is there. They have launched a methane sat, and then one can monitor the methane concentration. Okay, and so this is one of the sources for the pollution in Delhi. Okay, so in the past there was a Jaipur fire occurred. Okay, and the Jaipur oil depot was burned. You can see the plume affected up to Kota and other cities. Okay, and then there was also um, in the Kuwait fire occurred. Okay, and a Kuwait fire when occurred, long-range transport of smoke from oil well uh, reached over India. It also blanketed the snow glaciers. Okay, and this is what in one of the meetings we found. Dr. Bhutani was there, and he pointed out to me, and we plotted this ozone and aerosol index. Okay, so not only the Indian sources, but we are affected by the other long range sources. Okay, so we should be careful about that. We should try to monitor. And now the satellite can provide all the information. Okay, so using this Aeronet data, we try to analyze this. We try to understand the dynamics of the aerosol, the pollution level. Okay, and one can see this. Okay, and anybody can read those papers. Okay. So this was the aeronet we deployed in 2001. Okay, and now aeronet is still working from 2001. At that time, my director was Padmanabhan. You can see, and immediately somebody came from NASA. He stayed for 2 3 days, and this is the whole team. I really thank to NASA. Okay, my whole team that using Aeronet data, we try to understand what is the impact of the Diwali festival, what is the impact of the dust, what is the impact of other sources of the dust over the Indo-Gangetic Basin. Okay, so so in nutshell, you can see that in the northern part of India, we have a problem of the fog, haze, and the smoke. Okay, and in the northern part of India, you have a crop biomass burning. We have a dust storm. We have a also forest fire. So the northern part of India is getting affected with all kinds of sources. Where when we are getting affected, there are about a million of people. They are living from the west to east. Okay, and everybody is getting affected, and the health, the people they suffer with the health problem. Okay, I'm very happy that our colleagues at IIT Delhi, they are trying to study about the impact of the health. Okay, so so do we have any solution to improve atmospheric pollution and air quality? This is the big question. Okay, because we know all the sources, we pollute, say, okay. The answer is that the COVID-19. The COVID-19 really cut down the pollution. Okay, and if one can try to see what happened in 2020. Okay, and but again now COVID-19 is gone, the pollution level is coming up, okay, and using lots of data from U.S. Embassy and U.S. Embassy in Delhi, Calcutta, we published 2 3 papers, okay, seeing the the PM 2.5 declining concentration over the Indo-Gangetic Basin. And what we found that the COVID-19, such things, really, really, it was deadly, affected people, but we should think over how we should cut down the pollution. Okay, so we should learn from the COVID-19. So this is what our efforts should be. Okay, otherwise we cannot. Uh, we have to think about the new generation, how to sustain the resources for them, how to sustain the environment. Okay, so this is the I edited this book, okay, on Asian atmospheric pollution, and we discussed. There were about 26 authors contributed. We discussed about the all types of atmospheric pollution. Okay, so there are other books on the natural hazards. We published this about the climate change also, and then the thanks to all my collaborators, my students in India and also abroad. Okay, they have contributed a lot. Okay, and it's so. Thank you to everybody. Thanks for the kind attention. Okay.